Hi everyone, David Aragona and Craig Milkowski here for a look at Saturday's Lady Jacqueline Stakes as we take a rare trip out to Thistledown. It's their marquee day as they are running the Grade 3 Ohio Derby a little bit later in this card. This is the race actually just preceding the Ohio Derby, race 10 on an 11 race card at Thistledown on Saturday. A mile and an eighth the distance of this one for the fillies and mares on the main track. Craig, there's a lot of talk about small fields, a lot of stakes that we've seen in New York, Kentucky drawing just 5 horses. This is a 10-horse field, but I would say there are just 5 legitimate players as you have 5 shippers in this race and 5 Thistledown-based runners. And it kind of feels like those Thistledown-based horses are just a little bit of filler in here.
Yeah, they are. They do look a little bit overmatched on paper, but I'll take the 10 horses anytime. I'm not going to complain because even if they're maybe not contenders for the win, they will influence how the races run, as we're probably going to talk about here in a second on the pace projector.
Yeah, for sure. They could inject some speed into this race. As we take a look at the 10-horse field for this Lady Jacqueline Stakes, you see the morning line is a little bit lukewarm on the favorite, the number 6 Army Wife. She is pegged at 3-1, just shorter than number 5 Crazy Beautiful and the number 9 Maracuja. The second and third choices on the line, all 3 of them, as we were alluding to, are shipping in from other venues to Thistledown on Saturday to contest this $250,000 stakes race. And they all have some back class. Craig, Army Wife was the winner of the Black Eyed Susan last year. Crazy Beautiful, I think, won a couple of graded stakes last season. And Maracuja, a grade 1 winner in the coaching club Maracadoke. So they're all trying to get back on track in this listed stakes race.
Yeah, they are definitely the horses I would want to start with in here. But I have to be honest, I don't think any of them really are anything to be overly afraid of. I can see why there was a big field in here. So fun race to handicap and talk about.
And Craig was talking about how some of those Thistledown-based runners might show speed in this race. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector before we discuss some of the major contenders. And one of those Thistledown-based runners, the number 10 Malice, shown on the front end, vying for the lead with Take Charge Lauren for Dwayne Lucas. I would imagine both of these horses will go towards the lead. They both have shown speed in their prior starts. The number 4 Candlelight Hour is actually a 3-year-old facing older horses who could be somewhat forward as well. And Craig, any speed that develops is going to help the closers, horses like the number 5 Crazy Beautiful and the number 9 Maracuja.
Yeah, no doubt about that in here. And there's definitely some speed. The horse Malice to the outside is a horse who's shown a lot of high speed, even in sprint races. And I know they were at Thistledown and Mahoning Valley, but they've gotten some pretty fast pace figures as well into the hundreds at times. So it's hard to see if she is in the race that she won't be on the lead and making life difficult for other horses up there, including Take Charge Lauren, who you mentioned, and also Candlelight Hours, who both do their best running up near the front end. So I totally agree with that fast pace designation the pace projector gave in here.
Let's talk about some of these contenders, and we'll begin with the number 5, Crazy Beautiful. Let's take a look at her past performances in Timeform US, and she's one of the few in here, Craig, that's just looking to get back on track. She did earn a stakes victory 2 back, but did so over the Tapeta surface at Turfway Park. Her last race on dirt did come against tougher company, Malathot Bonnie South, in the double dog there, but she was pretty dull that day, just didn't have a whole lot to offer, and feels like she's one that just hasn't really gone on from her 3-year-old to 4-year-old season.
Yeah, that's the exact point I was going to make. If you scroll through her past performances, the Timeform US speed figures show that she closed out her campaign as a 3-year-old with 3 consecutive 110 pluses. And it's kind of troublesome for me that she's yet to reach that 110 mark this year. Admittedly, one of the races was a win on the synthetic at Turfway. The other was against much tougher horses, but she actually got a pretty decent setup that day and didn't really have much kick. Obviously outkicked by higher class closers and Malathot and Bonnie South, but I still think she's a disappointment so far this year, and I don't want to take a short price on a horse like this.
Let's move on to the number 6 Army Wife, that runner that was pegged as the morning line favorite at 3-1. Craig, I don't want to be quite as hard on her for not taking a step forward in her 4-year-old debut last time because it was her first start off a pretty lengthy layoff. And she had knocked heads against some of the best 3-year-old fillies out there last year, especially during the summertime when she was a good third behind Clairiere in the, I should say, Malathaat and Clairiere in the Alabama. She also ran well in the Grade 1 Cotillion. I didn't love her return to the Shawnee last time, but there is the possibility she could step forward off of it.
Yeah, I was going to bring up that same point. It's not the same thing because she's only run once, although she had very similar speed figures to Crazy Beautiful last year, hovering around that 110 mark when she ran her best races. She came back with a subpar 107, but she did have a little bit of an excuse that day. And as you say, it was just her first start off the layoff. And Mike Maker tends to do better with his horses as they get more into their campaign. So I would expect her to improve upon that number this time out.
Yeah, and watching her trip in that Shawnee Stakes, while she was never winning that day, she did kind of have to alter course back down to the inside and mid-stretch. Looked like she lost a little bit of momentum as the runner-up Ava's Grace was just kind of drifting out into everybody's path in the stretch. So willing to give her a slight pass for that race. And I also found this DRF formulator fact for her trainer, Mike Maker, that makes me even more encouraged that she could take a step forward. Mike Maker has good second off the layoff stats in general, but especially in the past year, second off a 150 to 300-day layoff. Those are some pretty encouraging statistics for this horse to take a step forward in her next start.
Yeah, no doubt. You would have to look pretty hard to find ones to top that with that kind of ROI and win percentage.
Let's move on to another of these fillies that are looking to get back on track, ones who did achieve success during their 3-year-old season, and that's the number 9, Maracuja. Let's take a look at her when she came off the layoff to win an allowance race at Oaklawn Park. 2 back. She wasn't really much of a field this day, Craig, but I thought that she did what she was supposed to do to get the job done as the 4-5 favorite. Just the race came back a little slow, and she did no running last time in the Apple Blossom.
Yeah, this is more like a Crazy Beautiful line for me in that she came back slower than she was in her 3-year-old season. She obviously had that big upset win in the Coaching Club of America Oaks, didn't back it up in the next 2 out. And though she did win, it was quite a regression all the way down to 100 speed figure. And in that Apple Blossom, she just didn't show up at all. So for me, it's a negative and another similar to Crazy Beautiful. I just don't want what's going to be a short price on her.
Yeah, in fairness, she was facing 3 of the best older mares out there right now in Latruska, Clairiere, and Cece, but she was nowhere near them, finishing nearly 20 lengths back in 4th place that day. So she's going to have to do a little bit better. And speaking of these DRF formulator statistics, I found one that could be relevant for trainer Rob Atras, a trainer that really has most of his success on the NYRA circuit. So I looked up how he does outside of NYRA over the past 5 years, and the numbers are nowhere near the kind of statistics that he posts at the NYRA racetracks. And you can kind of see that in Maracuja's form. She achieved her best results at NYRA racetracks, hasn't been quite as fast or effective outside. So we'll see if she can do better as she's shipping out to Thistledown on Saturday. Craig, a horse that I know that you're a little bit interested in as we move on to another contender is the number 8 Microcap, and she is a 5-year-old mare in this field, one who has tried Stakes Company on occasion in the past, but more recently has run primarily against allowance and optional claiming foes. She's coming off a speed figure and a victory, though, against optional claimers that makes her competitive if she can repeat it.
Yeah, it's a question if she can repeat it, but she has run faster speed figures in the past. It has been a little while since she's done so, but I was really encouraged by this race to jump up to a 110. It's the fastest last race speed figure coming in from Timeform US. And unfortunately, when I checked last, which I think was last night, no horses have run back from that race. But when you look at the chart of what the horses that had been running come in, it looks totally legit. And even though she was 15-1 that day, you can see why the other horses all had faster speed figures than her in prior races. So she's one that I do like in here and expect her to run back to that number.
Yeah, my one problem with her is that she just seems a little bit unreliable. She's one of these horses that when she has her mind on running, she's capable of producing the kind of form that could make her competitive here. But some days it just feels like she wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and doesn't really want to do it. She's got a few double-digit margins of defeat just sprinkled through her past performances. So that worried me a little bit that she'd be able to put these two big efforts back to back if she does well here. But I hear you about the last race. I watched it. I was impressed with the way that she held on gamely to the wire. She was 15-1 that day, but doesn't feel like she's going to be that short a price in here. So I wouldn't mind giving her some consideration in this spot. And I guess we'll just talk about the last of the 5 shippers that is coming into Thistledown for this race. That's the number 3 Take Charge Lauren going out for Dwayne Lucas. She's one of these horses that could be forwardly placed, showing speed from the inside. Just feels like she'd have to find a race that she hasn't really put forth yet to be competitive here.
Yeah, she's got a couple things going against her. For one, she's at best the 5th fastest horse on here based on the speed figures. And 2 is that pace projector's just not her friend, with Malice drawn to the outside, being really quick on apply pressure. So she's one maybe you could consider if you thought she was going to be up front by herself, but that just doesn't look to be the case. And I don't think she'll be that 9-2 morning line, probably going to be a bit longer than that, but I'm not a fan of her in here.
Yeah, I agree about that. I think that those 3 horses that we started with all the graded stakes credentials will take the bulk of the play in here, and they probably should. So we'll throw up our top picks for this Lady Jacqueline. No big surprise that Craig and I have the same superfecta here, just in a bit of a different order. I went the slightly more logical route, took that morning line favorite, the number 6 Army Wife. Don't love what's likely to be a short price on her, but I just think that she's the one that's most likely to take a step forward off her 4-year-old return. She's got that kind of versatile running style where I don't think she's going to be too hindered if they do go quickly up front. So put her on top, but I do have respect for Craig's top pick, Microcap, who should be a better price.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's the most likely winner, but we all know how that feels not getting up on the right side of bed. I'm hoping she will on Saturday because I really like that last race. And I always have trouble trusting closers like Army Wife and Crazy Beautiful at what's going to be pretty short prices. Even though we have the pace rated as fast, I'm hoping that that Microcap can get the jump on them with a better forward position early and be able to hold on. And yeah, we'll see, but it's a value play for me in Microcap.
I'm going for one of the shorter prices. Craig's going for a bit more value in the Lady Jacqueline Stakes on Saturday at Thistledown. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.